Hello everyone and welcome to my Windar Insider 24 update channel. Sharon Case and Joshua Morrow as Sharon Newman and Nick Newman. Case and Morrow, performers of the week, and The Young and the Restless. On The Young and the Restless, Sharon Case plays Sharon. Photo courtesy of CBS. Poor Sharon was alone in a strange city, Los Angeles, when she got word that Noah, Lucas Adams, her son with Nick, had been in a car accident. Case not only played the angst of a mother's worst nightmare, but she did so alone. Only when Nick, as composed as a helpless dad can be, arrived did Sharon fully allow herself to collapse. Morrow, who excels in stories involving his children, both he and Case were robbed of daytime Emmy nominations when Cassie died, was clearly affected when Sharon told him that she had surmised it didn't sound good. Sharon revealed in shock, "I don't think I can do this again. Why do our infants continue to experience this?" Case played Sharon as a woman who was going through a nightmare déjà vu that no one should have to endure. She brought shock, sadness, grief, confusion, and despair all at once to her performances. Meanwhile, Morrow had Nick draw on every reserve of strength that he had to protect Sharon, staying optimistic not only for her but for himself, too. Ironically, when medical personnel arrived to inform Sharon that Noah had survived surgery, Sharon was once more alone because Nick had left to find a doctor. "I hope that this will be a sign that he's going to make it through this ordeal because I cannot lose another child, not right now, not like this," Sharon said as she appeared to be talking to God. "Cassie, Carmen Grimes, has already been taken from us by you. And Mariah's in so much pain. And Faith, Raylan Caster, needs her brother. She requires him. And Nick just couldn't bear it. Please use this as a warning. Save our son. Save our infant. Save our infant. I'm praying to God for a miracle, please. Please." Optimism for the future on The Young and the Restless. Nick, Joshua Morrow, entered the nick of time. Later, Sharon gave Nick an update. Noah survived surgery and was being moved to a room. Both felt like they could breathe again. Sharon asked Nick to distract her. As Nick updated his ex on Faith and Christian, Sharon lamented that there was no real update on their son beyond the one they'd been given. The two held hands in unison. Morrow leaned into Nick's trademark charm as he brought Sharon a candy bar, hoping to lift her spirits. The two of them admitted that they were both curious about the reason Noah was in Malibu traversing a canyon while he was at his place in West Hollywood. In an effort to determine what Noah had been going through prior to his accident, they played detective. Case and Morrow's long-running chemistry was evident in these scenes as the two thought along the same path, focusing on what was truly important: Noah's recovery. Ironically, Case and Morrow presented their characters as being closer than ever. The duo was ultimately torn apart by Cassie's passing. Might Noah's near-fatal accident bring them together? Bravo to Case and Morrow from The Young and the Restless for delivering performances that were both believable and moving as they dealt with this terrible situation. On CBS and Paramount Plus during the week, you can watch all new episodes of The Young and the Restless. Sharon Case and Joshua Morrow's emotional brilliantness. The Young and the Restless reveals heartbreak and hope. Few on-screen pairings in the long and storied history of The Young and the Restless have had as much emotional weight and nostalgic resonance as Sharon Newman and Nick Newman, played by Joshua Morrow and Sharon Case, respectively. Over the course of decades, their chemistry has grown beyond a simple romantic connection to a profound investigation of love, loss, and resilience in the face of tragedy. Sharon and Nick's recent storyline, in which they are thrust once more into a parent's worst nightmare with the near death of their son Noah, serves as a haunting recollection of the past and brings back emotional scars from their daughter Cassie's death. This storyline is not only a showcase of exceptional writing but, more importantly, a masterclass in performance-driven storytelling. Sharon Case and Joshua Morrow depicted the devastating intersection of fear, grief, and hope in layered, nuanced ways. Both actors transform familiar soap opera tropes into deeply human, relatable experiences, reminding viewers that The Young and the Restless is at its best when it leans into the raw psychology of its characters. Sharon Case's harrowing isolation. A mother's nightmare. Sharon is alone in Los Angeles at the beginning of the episode, a symbolic choice that reflects her emotional state. Case's performance becomes a study in controlled despair when she learns that her son Noah has been in a serious car accident. Every minute emotion, including disbelief, fear, and maternal panic, can be seen on her face. The camera lingers on her silence, allowing the audience to feel the suffocating weight of waiting for answers in a sterile hospital corridor. Case's portrayal of Sharon in these moments exemplifies her decades-long mastery of emotional realism. She doesn't spend too much time focusing on the present. Rather, she lets her breath and stillness convey more than words can. Case fills the silence with palpable anxiety, capturing the essence of a mother caught between hope and dread, despite the fact that the script only gives her a few lines in the beginning. Only when Nick arrives does the tension subside. Sharon's pain has been confined to herself up until that point. She is like every other parent who is alone in a waiting room practicing the worst possible scenarios. Sharon's appearance of strength disappears completely when Nick arrives. She collapses into him, physically and emotionally, surrendering to the reality that she cannot bear this pain alone. A father's silent struggle. Joshua Morrow's steadfast strength. Nick Newman, played by Joshua Morrow, makes his entrance with a quiet but powerful presence. Even after their romantic relationship ended, his character has always been a protector of his family, his children, and especially Sharon. In this storyline, Morrow channels that same energy but with new depth. He is not the strong hero, but a man barely holding himself together. Morrow's response is masterful when Sharon tells him, "I don't think I can do this again." He doesn't respond with words immediately. His silence, filled with understanding and shared history, speaks volumes. Every hesitant breath and pause reflect the agony of losing Cassie many years ago. Both characters, and both actors, carry the ghosts of that loss, and it shapes every choice they make in this scene. Morrow's ability to portray restraint is particularly effective. Instead of grand gestures or overt displays of emotion, he grounds Nick in a kind of pragmatic denial, focusing on what he can do, be strong for Sharon. He becomes the emotional anchor, the steady hand that keeps Sharon from falling apart entirely. But Morrow lets the cracks show subtly, and his eyes show a storm of fear that he can't let himself say. It's this quiet duality, strength and vulnerability, that makes his performance so compelling. Deja vu and trauma, the ghost of Cassie Newman. The writers of The Young and the Restless smartly draw a parallel between Noah's accident and the tragic death of Cassie, a narrative thread that forever altered Sharon and Nick's lives. This moment is almost unbearably moving for viewers who have been watching for a long time. Sharon's question, "Why does this continue to happen to our babies?" captures her confusion as well as her spiritual exhaustion. Case and Morrow's performances in this storyline seem to be influenced by their shared history of dealing with Cassie's death for nearly 2 decades. Sharon's desperate voice comes from years of unresolved trauma, not just the immediate fear of losing Noah, when she prays to God to prevent the loss of another child. "I hope this will be a sign that he's going to make it through this ordeal. I cannot lose another child, not right now, not like this." These words are devastating not only because of what they express, but because of how Case delivers them, with trembling hope and a haunting weariness. Her prayer is not a performance of faith but a bargaining with grief. The show's genius lies in allowing Sharon to face her suffering rather than running from it. For decades, Sharon Newman has been portrayed as fragile, emotional, and deeply empathetic. But in this episode, she transcends fragility. She becomes a symbol of the perseverance necessary to endure unimaginable loss. Faith, family, and the fragile line between hope and despair. The moment Sharon learns that Noah has survived surgery becomes a turning point in both the story and the emotional tone of the episode. The relief is almost disorienting after an unbearable buildup of dread. Sharon's body language shifts, her shoulders drop, her breathing steadies, and for the first time, she allows herself to exhale. Ever the realist, Morrow's Nick immediately enters problem-solving mode, asking questions to ensure their son will be okay. Yet, it's Sharon's vulnerability that gives this sequence its soul. Her prayer, spoken moments earlier, still lingers in the air as if unanswered. The fact that Noah survives feels like a divine reprieve, and the audience experiences that catharsis through her. Sharon and Nick's interactions following the crisis are beautifully understated. Holding hands, reminiscing about their children, and finding solace in small gestures are some of the quiet, intimate moments they share. When Nick offers Sharon a candy bar, it's not just an act of kindness, it's a symbolic reminder of normalcy amid chaos. The gesture reconnects them not as lovers, but as lifelong partners in grief and parenthood. Their conversation about Noah's accident, why he was in Malibu, what he might have been running from, becomes an investigation not just into his actions, but into their own failures and fears as parents. It's a moment of shared reflection, where both realize that their bond, though fractured over time, remains unbreakable when it comes to their children. The power of subtext. Chemistry rooted in history. What makes the scenes between Case and Morrow so electrifying is not what they say, but what remains unsaid. Although they don't talk much, there are a lot of strong emotional undercurrents. Decades of shared history inform every glance, every touch, every pause. The audience feels the weight of everything Sharon and Nick have lost and everything they still hope to protect as they sit together with their hands entwined. Their chemistry is more than just romantic. It goes deeper and lasts longer. Case and Morrow understand that Sharon and Nick are two people forever bound by tragedy and love, even when they've moved on to other relationships. Their scenes take on an unmistakable authenticity thanks to this connection. For viewers who have followed their journey from high school sweethearts to grieving parents to estranged co-parents, these scenes feel like a full-circle moment. The trauma that once tore them apart has, paradoxically, become the glue that keeps them tethered to one another. Performance as catharsis, revisiting grief through art. One of the most profound aspects of this storyline is how it mirrors real human experience, the cyclical nature of grief. For Sharon and Nick, the pain of losing Cassie never truly disappeared. It simply lay dormant until tragedy threatened their family once again. Sharon Case channels that cyclical grief through her performance, using subtle physical cues, shaking hands, a quivering voice, the refusal to make eye contact, as visual representations of trauma resurfacing. Joshua Morrow, on the other hand, embodies the stoic suppression that often accompanies male grief in soap storytelling. Together, they create a perfect emotional balance, portraying two different but equally valid ways of coping. Their performances are not just emotionally resonant, they're therapeutic. For longtime fans who mourned Cass's death years ago, watching Sharon and Nick face another crisis feels like reopening an old wound. However, it also provides release. The viewer's own feelings of loss, fear, and love are validated in their pain. Symbolism and thematic continuity. From a thematic perspective, this storyline beautifully continues the young and the restless exploration of family, resilience, and faith. Particularly, Sharon's prayer scene stands out as a rare instance of spiritual vulnerability on daytime television. Her plea to God, "Please let this be a sign. Protect our son. Save our baby," is both a mother's desperation and a metaphor for the show's broader message, that even amid darkness, hope persists. The imagery of light and shadow throughout the episode reinforces this theme. Sharon begins in isolation, surrounded by the sterile brightness of the hospital, a symbol of uncertainty and exposure. When Nick arrives, the visual tone softens, suggesting comfort and companionship. When Noah is declared safe near the end, the light gets warmer, which is a sign of new life and hope. Thematically, the script invites viewers to reflect on the endurance of parental love, the kind that transcends heartbreak and continues even in the face of unimaginable pain. It's a story about love's survival as well as life itself. The legacy of Sharon and Nick, a love story beyond romance. For over 25 years, Sharon Case and Joshua Morrow have been the emotional backbone of the young and the restless. Their characters' relationship has weathered affairs, betrayals, separations, and reunions, yet the emotional core has always remained intact. Because they represent something fundamentally human, this storyline reminds audiences of why Sharon and Nick continue to resonate after all these years. Their connection is not defined by passion alone but by shared history, forgiveness, and the unspoken understanding that comes from having walked through hell together. Cass's death may have torn them apart romantically, but it also cemented their spiritual bond. This connection is rekindled by Noah's accident, giving both the characters and the audience a chance to think back on what made their love so strong in the first place. Could Noah's nearly fatal accident reunite them romantically? Perhaps. But even if it doesn't, the emotional intimacy they share in these scenes is more powerful than any romantic reunion could be. They are, in essence, two halves of the same heart, forever changed by what they've lost, yet still capable of finding solace in each other's strength. A masterclass in daytime performance. It is impossible to discuss this episode without acknowledging the sheer craft of Sharon Case and Joshua Morrow's performances. Both actors demonstrate a profound understanding of emotional pacing. They don't rush the story. They allow grief and fear to unfold naturally, giving the audience time to process alongside them. Case, in particular, merits praise for her skill in conveying suffering without resorting to melodrama. She embodies the quiet suffering of a woman whose life has been defined by loss yet refuses to let it consume her. Morrow matches her beat for beat, offering subtle gestures, a comforting hand, a gentle smile, that ground the scenes in authenticity. They transform what could have been a formulaic tragedy into something that is truly moving when they work together. Their performances serve as reminders that the best daytime television does not focus on sensationalism but rather on the honest investigation of human emotion. Conclusion: hope after heartbreak. In a genre often dismissed for its predictability, Sharon Case and Joshua Morrow's work stands as a testament to the enduring power of storytelling rooted in truth. Their portrayal of Sharon and Nick's anguish, faith, and enduring bond captures what The Young and the Restless has always done best, reflecting the messiness of real life through heightened yet heartfelt drama. Sharon and Nick's journey through Noah's accident serves as both a continuation and a redemption of their past. It allows them, and the audience, to confront grief once more, but this time with a glimmer of hope. The episode ends not in despair, but in reconnect. Their shared relief, their intertwined hands, their quiet gratitude, all suggest that even in life's darkest moments, love endures. Ultimately, this storyline is about more than just survival, it's about healing. Viewers are reminded by Joshua Morrow and Sharon Case that while pain can shape us, it does not define us. Reiterating that The Young and the Restless is still more than just a soap opera. Rather, it is a timeless investigation into the human spirit. They transform tragedy into transcendence through their artistic skill.